What's up, guys? My name is Nate Hibbert. This is the Wingman podcast where I'm learning all types of new things, currently focused on drone flying. If you are watching this live, please say what's up in chat. I've got my moderator, my director, my backend, my brother with me this evening watching chat, and he'll be jumping in here in a little bit. But yeah, if you're watching this at a later date, you guys can leave a comment down below as well, letting me know when you watch this, because that's just helpful for me to know, but also saying what's up. I like to connect with you guys and have been enjoying the comments and things from the last couple of weeks and the previous videos that I've put on this channel, which is not all about FPV drone stuff. I've been doing some 3D printing things and just all my new hobbies and things that I'm learning that I like. So I'm excited. I'm very, very excited this week. I got finally my TBS Team Black Sheep Tango 2 Pro controller. I haven't even cracked this thing out of the box. I wanted to wait for you guys in the stream, so I'm super excited to get that out. We're going to compare it to my other controller, which I should have out right here, which was the first one I got. This Beta FPV controller is like $50. I got this because of how long that one was going to take, so we can compare the two, and hopefully tonight I'm going to be able to connect it to my computer and play the simulator. I'm not 1000% sure, as like I said, I haven't actually cracked it out of the box yet, but I have a good faith, I guess, that we'll figure it out here live. So that's the plan for tonight. Let me just double check I didn't miss anything. Steve, you ready to be brought in? You look like you're clicking and clacking away. All right.
Do a 10-minute rant. No
rant this week. It's just the controller is here. I'm ready for it. Check your notes, son. There's no rant. I just want to unbox this thing finally. I opened it up just to make sure that it was actually here. I got two other pieces that we'll talk about in a little bit with it, all from, let me double check the name of the site so I don't butcher it. Get FPV. That's what it is. Yeah, getfpv.com is where I bought this stuff. Their customer service was really good. I mean, they just kept telling me that it's back ordered, but they were at least responding quickly, so that was good, and they were nice about it. So we'll see if I have any problems or anything come up, and how they do with returns, and just help me walk through things or whatever that might look like. So yeah, that's where we're at. You got anything before I finally crack this thing open?
No, just I think calling me producer, I think, is the easiest
producer
thing.
Like, I was searching for the word.
Yeah,
but
I was like, I should say it, but I'm a little waffling a little bit.
Stumbling.
He'll figure it out.
All right, so I attempted to do a little overhead cam, but it's super jank as I'm not set up for this at all. So it's kind of just thrown together. So let's see if the unboxing mode will actually work here. If you like behind the scenes stuff, this is about as good as it's gonna get.
I feel like I'm about to be sick.
All right, that might be too close, and this thing can't actually hold the weight of everything that I have on it, but you know, such is life. Maybe I can scoot this back just a hair.
Will it make a difference if you take us off? Will it go to a larger screen, or is it still going to be cropped in?
No, it's that size. It's just, this is an older web camera that I just have lying around, so this is what I've been doing, the hand cam stuff. But I have an extra light on here as well, so it's all a little heavy. So we'll get this figured out. I have dreamed up a thing that I want to 3D print to be able to do these overhead shots, but I have not had the time. So let me just turn this down a little bit so it's not blown out. There we go. There is, I wonder if I could stuff something back there because it's so close. Wish I had just like a rubber band or something thrown here. Tighten this. Nope, it's just gonna slowly. All right, well, that's a little bit better. You can see the whole box at least. All right, so this is the box. Let's crack her open. I think you pull from the front. Yeah, stuffed in there good. Ooh, nice little suede carrying pouch, it looks like, with their logo on there. That's pretty nice. Some stickers. So this is the pro version of the Tango 2, so I think these stickers were a bonus. I'm not a huge fan of stickers, but kind of cool that it came with it. Oh, this is a little keychain that it came with also. It doesn't really matter for me all that much. The real reason I got the Pro was because the gimbals are a little bit better, but these are some of the little like bonuses that it came with as well. So I'll see if I have extra pair of keys to throw that on. Maybe my bike clock, and then this looks like it lifts out, keeping it in place, which I appreciate. These are an
I feel like this is Christmas morning, me just watching you.
Your childhood all over again.
Yes. Oh, Nathaniel got another present here. Oh, when I get socks, oh, thanks. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So these are 2 packets of, looks like some replacement parts, possibly. Throttle limitation screws. So maybe if you want to switch it from mode 2 to mode 1. That's my guess. I don't actually know. But the controller, and then that's empty. So move that. Alright, so this is the controller. It actually comes with another pouch, so I don't know why I need 2, but I'll take it. And then here she is. There we go. So, it feels a lot heftier, that's for sure. Oh, these are way stronger. My thumbs are going to get a workout using these gimbals. But the size is very, very similar. I'm surprised that it's as small as it is. I would thought it would have been a little bit bigger.
Show the back of that
actually
controller.
Pretty big.
Did you get it with that extra piece on the back?
So that's what these 2 boxes are. So I have to actually install this.
Oh,
so the way that it is right now, it's just for Crossfire's drones.
I got you.
Or drones with a Crossfire transmitter on them. Which my Noob B, the Acro B, doesn't actually have Crossfire, so I can't use it with it like out of the box, basically. So I'll have to use this multi-protocol module and hook this up so we can open this thing. Let me just cut this real quick.
So the Tango 2, I thought the point of that was getting all that stuff together combined so you wouldn't have to install that. Is that not what the 2 is?
No, 2 is just better than 1. We've gone over this.
Well, that was the Tiny Hawk 2.
Yeah, you actually remember the name. Yeah, so the Tiny Hawk 2, it's just, again, technology like this gets improved. The improvements from like 1 to 2 were not like crazy significant, like a louder speaker. I think the screen's a little bit better. I think the software is updated to be a little bit nicer, but I think like build quality, it might have been not USB-C before, which this is USB-C now. So there's like a couple little things, but I think overall is about the same. I think these pull out and fold down. So that's one of the pro things as well. So you can just carry this a little bit easier. This one doesn't seem like it wants to move. I can unscrew it completely. Huh. Okay. We'll have to figure out. This one moves really easily, but this one feels like it's stuck in there. I don't know if there's something I have to do to let it loose or something. But yeah, like just because this is the only other controller I have to compare it to, the gimbals feel way stronger. Like, I don't know if you can hear the difference or if that's a good way to like test it. But the fact that it's going to snap back a lot easier and give me more like tension, I think will be able to make smaller movements and kind of know where this gimbal is at compared to this one, which kind of floats around. So that's something that I'm excited to see how that's going to change things. Then we've got some buttons.
Are any of those gimbal adjustable, like that spring tension or anything?
I think so. I think you actually have to crack it open though to do any of that stuff. I don't know about the actual tension. That might just be what it is. But like kind of the range that you have access to, I think you can change. And the fact that like this one on the north and south axis, to be very technical, I think that's the wrong way of saying that, is not restrained. I think I can change that and turn it to what they call mode 1, where basically just flipping these two gimbals, because this one always snaps back to center and this one only snaps back to center, right to left. So that's all I really know about it. But yeah, so this is the protocol that I needed to fly with the Newbie drone. This thing by itself, I think it was like $50, which is basically the price of the old controller that I have. But I think that the tiny whoops are going to be something that I'm going to continue flying with. So I wanted to be able to get this little module to go on there. I could have 3D printed this little door here, but there's just some very small things that you'd have to print. So I think I'll still try this out just to test my skills, but I'm glad to actually have the piece in my hand, and this was only like $5 or something, so completely worth it. So this should just slide in here, if I'm seeing everything correctly. Maybe not. I don't know. I'll figure this out. But yeah, so that is the controller unboxing. This goes in there somewhere. I don't want to break anything on stream. So we'll move all this to the side.
That'll make a better video for me.
So we'll try to turn this on. I'm hoping that it's charged, but either way, we're going to be using it for the simulator, so it should charge through USB-C at the same time. So we'll hold this button.
Is there any controllers that you looked at that were not able to be used with that simulator?
Say that again?
And your mic is buzzing pretty bad now.
Say that again?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you just fine.
There's buzzing. I don't know if it's on the live stream or not.
Is it from... It doesn't look like there's any feedback or anything on my end, so it might just be through Zoom.
Okay. It doesn't sound like it's on the live, so good.
Okay.
I was going to say, is any of those controllers that you looked at not able to be used with a simulator? Was that a factor when you were buying a controller?
No, I think all of them, except for maybe like some older ones, you should be able to use with the simulator. I haven't seen anything that wouldn't be able to be used with the simulator. So it looks like it had some battery, so I'm going to power this thing back up again.
Welcome to Tango 2.
It's pretty loud. It's actually better if I leave it like that. Then it asks me, and I'll use a scroll wheel from what I've seen to tell it to be a joystick. And then I don't want RF on. And then, ooh, it even on screen. I don't know how well we're going to be able to see that, but it on screen shows where the joysticks are. So that's kind of cool. I wonder if I can somehow record that? I don't know. I've seen people overlay things like that on their drone footage so you can see like where their sticks are at, but I don't know if they're doing it from the controller or from the drone itself. But either way, that looks pretty cool. Let's pull up now. Game guest hand cam. There we go. Don't need this anymore. So in here, in DRL Sim, and I'll actually move this hand cam over to the side real quick. Down here at the bottom, it says error. Please calculate or calibrate, sorry. So it picks up TBS joystick, so that was super simple. It actually talks to my computer, and I heard my computer make the little doo-doo-doo sound, so that's good. And then we'll do quick calibration. Put your sticks in the center. You can line that up, put it down, calibrate this. So, maybe not the most entertaining thing to watch, but seeing how easy it is to literally take this thing out of the box.
Yeah, I think this is a simple how-to. So if you go how to calibrate with, what's the name of this?
DRL simulator? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. So how to calculate. If you could say that for me, just say the whole sentence because I can't. Yeah. So how to calibrate whatever the name of the controller is with whatever name of the simulator is. If you could just say that for me.
How to calibrate. How to Hold on. All right, it actually worked. So that was a very quick way to show how to calibrate. Oh my gosh. All right. So that was a very quick way to show how to calibrate the TBS Tango 2 controller with the DRL simulator. So it looks like everything's being read correctly. The switches should work. and all the controls, which you can see on screen and on my little hand cam, they're all working. So super simple. I'm glad. I think on the first one you had to like actually set up a I don't know exactly what it would be called, but basically a flight mode, or an output or something. You'd have to set this up in such a way to tell it to go into the simulator like joystick, but now it just notices once it's plugged into USB, comes right up on the screen. So that worked exactly how I was hoping it would. It had a little bit of battery in there so I can actually turn it on, so that all went very smoothly. I was definitely calculating for there to be more problems, but that went real smooth.
So if you wanted to go back to that white one, do you have to recalibrate?
Oh, interesting. So let's pull this out, plug this in, turn this guy on. Oh, I guess I should have saved that. What? Oh, I gotta hold it for a second. There we go. Yeah, so this is still calibrated. So I can plug in either of these controllers now. Just gotta make sure it's actually on. So that's pretty cool. Let's just double check. I don't know if I can plug this in. Oh, no, it does come right up on the screen. So if I can show this, I don't know if you can read that or not. Let's switch back to this real quick. No, probably not. But it's asking me, do I want the joystick? Do I just want it to be a charging, or do I want to actually do something with the storage? But I just want it to be a joystick. And then it asks me if I want RF, which is, I think, the ability to like transmit still, which I don't. So I can turn that off. And then we're good to go. And be able to fly. So I think the next thing I should do is just fly with this thing for a little bit inside of, I might have to recalibrate it real quick, inside of DRL Sim, just so I can tell the differences. I mean, holding it, it definitely feels like a more serious controller, mostly just because of the weight, and I think the shape of it feels a lot more bulky in your hand and not so much like just a toy, even though it's still a toy. So I'm curious to see if my flying ability will feel any different, or if the like the actual calibration of these joysticks will have changed at all. I missed that one. All right. Actually, it'd be interesting to pull it up on this page to see how smooth, because this is extremely smooth on here now. So let me go ahead and save this real quick and actually switch it out.
Are you talking, brother?
No, I'm thinking. I'm just going to try and calibrate this white one real quick and see if it's as smooth.
Oh.
Just to see the difference, and then we'll fly. I don't know how well you'd be able to tell, but... Oh yeah,
I think when you...
it's way... I don't know if you guys can see that on screen. Especially at these low inputs, it's so jumpy. So that was
it's like all or nothing.
Yeah, and the yellow and the green line are going opposite ways. I don't know exactly what that means. That doesn't seem exactly right. I don't know. Like the roll, the yellow and the green goes the same way. So there's some learning I can do here. But just looking at this top area here, looking at what I'm just putting in a little bit of power, I mean, it's really jumping. So definitely the more expensive gimbals are going to give me a smoother flying experience. So I am over the moon happy about that, because that confirms that it's not just my horrible flying that there is something that the controllers are doing, and there should be some difference flying with this Tango too. All right, enough of the boring stuff. Let's go ahead and actually jump into some flying here. Whoops. Turn this off. Turn this back on real quick. I selected the wrong thing, so that's something to know.
Welcome to Tango 2.
Hello.
Throttle warning. Switch warning.
All right. Here we go. Any questions before we jump into this, Steve? Any thoughts?
No, I
concerns?
don't. But I hate to stop you here, but there is sounding like there's a problem with the sound.
Okay. Let me just switch my audio input.
I'm gonna leave Zoom real quick. I'll jump back in a second, but I don't know if it is Zoom or the live stream, and I can't tell with both of these playing.
Okay. I just switched over to the mic in my webcam, so maybe that will be different. There was the fan going in the background, so I don't know if you were picking up on that.
No, it's just a lot of buzzing.
Okay. Is it
Let me leave
there?
and come back.
Okay.
Yeah, I still hear it.
Okay.
But I can't tell if it's on stream or not.
Oh, I see. Alright, well, while he resets, let's go ahead and jump into some of this flying. I'm like so over the moon right now that it's not totally just my inability to fly. Like I said, like that was something I was concerned about. Like, am I just not able to put in these small inputs, or is it actually the controller? So there is a way to get an on-screen display. Let's try and do that real quick. Change the physics. I usually bump the gravity. I'll just put it at 10. And then we have these on screen. It's still just showing the throttle going from 0 to 100. So I wonder if that's the drone? Or if I should recalibrate this real quick. Because there's like no middle ground. Alright, let's try a different drone. See if that changes anything. We can try 5-inch. Nope, 0 to 100 again. Alright, let's try and recalibrate this thing one last time. These were the types of problems I was thinking we were going to have. Yeah, see, on this display, it's just showing like 100 or 0. So I think that calibration that I just did with the other controller is probably messing with this a little bit. So we'll do this calibration one more time, and hopefully it will be as smooth as I want it to be. Yeah, my thumbs, I have like slipped off the joysticks a couple of times already just doing this calibration because my thumbs aren't used to having to go so far. So the gimbals in the space is actually a little bit bigger, surprisingly. Oh, let me let Steven back in here. No? There we go. And this one. Alright, that's better. So I think the calibration, I know you missed that, Steve, but I think the calibration that I did for the other controller was actually messing with this one when I went to go fly, because it was either going at 0 or 100.
Yeah, I was watching the stream. The
Okay.
sound was slightly messed up and buzzing. I think something to do with that controller's causing interference. I think your mic is also a little slower than mine, and mine's going to be blown out, but I mean, it is what it is. It'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll figure all this out. Alright, let's pull up those on-screen displays again. Shortcut is P, which I've never seen. There we go. Smooth as butter. So, I'm not going to do this now because we just calibrated like 10 times, but I'm curious to see if the calibration for the other one was off a little bit. I don't think so, because when I just calibrated it was jumping all over the place. So, I'm going to say that while that controller is amazing to just get some flight time, it's probably not the end-all be-all $50 solution, which I don't think that surprises anyone, but just to see like what are some of the actual gaps or performance differences between this Tango 2 and the Betaflight controller, like right out of the box I can tell just a huge difference. So if you're thinking about upgrading from that controller, trying to get more precise with your flying, like I am as I'm about to start trying to do this trick series and learn how to do more tricks, this controller coming in couldn't have been a better time, because I think I would have just been very frustrated trying to learn with a controller that's just so not sensitive or inaccurate in its readings and the gimbals and everything. So
it would be interesting to like say going through those lessons again or something like that. I know you've improved a lot in just your ability to fly, but like put the controllers in side-by-side comparisons.
Yeah, something that's more
Test
controlled
spaces
than
like
me
this.
just flying around.
Yeah, and just even doing like, oh, here's the series on the simulator. I'm doing this test with this controller. I'm doing the same test with the other controller, and then trying to do your tricks with both controller and your feedback on both those controllers from just like your novice viewpoint. Like, oh, I couldn't tell if it was me or the controller. Now that I'm improving, I can see this one so much better because of, and then have like a little bit more of a detailed breakdown along with like the side-by-side footages of both of those. Because it is very deceptive right now. Like, it looks like this controller, you have a lot more control with the drone, but you have gotten a lot better.
Yeah, I've also gotten better. That's fair. It's gonna take some use for me to get used to this controller, just because of how much stiffer the gimbals are. Like, I'm having to push a lot harder. So my mind's kind of calibrated to the other controller where it's like I just kind of slightly touch it this way, but this one you really have to nudge it.
Ooh,
Which
interesting.
is probably a good
Before,
thing.
when I was like, oh, it looks like you're giving all or nothing, there's like, you need to be in the middle. It could have just been a controller issue where like there is no middle.
I definitely think it's a little bit of both, but I'm happy to report that I think the controller was doing more than I was realizing. So
Remember when we tried to fly along that bridge? If you could do that again and just see if you
bridge or
could
the
hold it.
tunnel?
The bridge, because the bridge allowed you to bail out without like just banging around. But the bridge had like a roof on it, so if you could try to fly just that line on the bridge.
I think I'm a different drone actually. Hold on. Let me do a better comparison. But yeah, I'm excited. And actually, I'll be in Florida next week, which isn't that relevant except for the fact that I'll be with Steven. And I know I haven't released that last video because of some technical difficulties, but I will be interested. I'll bring both controllers with me, but I'll be interested to see if you can tell a difference, or yeah, what it
Yeah,
will
bring
feel
that
like
other
to you.
drone back too,
Okay.
because we might do the same thing, like a follow, and just see what kind of improvements we've made.
Sounds good.
And have you reached out to any other drone pilots to just see like what skills you should be learning?
Yeah, they have a couple of things that I should be practicing, so we'll definitely try to incorporate some of that. But
Yeah,
this
see,
trick
this already
guide is
looks like you can hold a much smoother line. Because before, remember, it was like you were
all up and
doing a
down.
wave pattern,
Yeah,
like up,
it
down,
was a
up,
lot
down,
of
up,
that.
down.
Again, I think it's because like at lower throttle, that one was like jumping. Like it would basically jump from 0 to 50%, and then 50 to 100 was like decent.
It was like 2 steps.
Yeah, but this one I can get down. That's why I like this on-screen display to really show. Well, I crash, but that I can get down in this like 0 to 0.5 area. Okay. The 0 to 0.5 area without too much difficulty. Oops.
Yeah, so again, it could be you are improving, because that's always a factor. But I think this might be something else, where it's like if you're learning something, you're learning a new hobby, there's a point where you just have to improve your skills enough to get the next gear. I think we talked about it when you did the
Look at that.
is the DJI goggles worth it? When it was like It could be. It could be the greatest piece of tech, but unless your skills match the gear, like you're really spending a lot of unnecessary money. If you have money and money is not a factor, then go for it. Or if you don't know if the hobby that you're about to get into, like be frugal with it and gain the skills. At some point, there's going to be a skill gap where it's like that controller, if it really does go from like 0 to 50 and 50 to 100 and there's no ease, then there are going to be certain limitations. But you don't have to go buy $1,000 radio controller. You can just step up to the next thing, and here's the budget piece that we suggest. Instead of going after the white controller, if you know that you're going to be into this, step up to the Tango 2, because we feel like that's the best controller for this entry level. And maybe you should even have a buyer's guide or a beginner, I don't even know what to call it, starter guide, beginner starter's guide, of just like your suggestions on tech and why.
Yeah, heavy disclaimer on the fact that I've been flying for 3 months.
Yeah, but I think someone's looking for just, if I was going to buy something, I'd be looking for as much feedback as possible. Because sometimes, like, even talking to pros in different fields, it's like, yeah, but you don't even remember what it was like to get started. So you're suggesting to me of like, just do this, just pull off that trick, just do these things, is like, it's not helpful. Just having somebody that's like, hey, here's the honest truth. I've been doing this for 3 months. I don't know everything, but here's what I do know. And this is what the pain points were for me. That's, I think, what most new people on YouTube are looking for, is just be a little ahead of me and let me know your struggles, your pain points, and your successes in your journey. And I think that's what you're building this podcast on, is like, here's my journey into drones. Here's what I'm trying to do. I just spent X amount of money. I'm trying to make sure that the hobby is paying for itself. And this is what I'm doing. I'm just asking people where I should spend my time, where should I spend my money, what skills I should actually be looking for, what job positions I should actually be looking for, what actual side hustle type things I can earn on, or is this like a all or nothing type situation? Like, you just have to have your pilot license, you have to have all these things, and these are the only opportunities currently to make money with this hobby.
Right. I definitely don't know it all, but I think what you're saying is extremely important and valuable. Of this is my point of view. Like, my understanding of FPV drone is like probably less than 1%, but the things that I have done, I feel have been the exact like entry for me to get into this hobby, to get excited. Even waiting this long for this controller has just like built up my hype and my anticipation to be able to get better at this sport hobby, possibly career. So I'm excited to see what a huge jump I'm hoping it's going to be from this controller. Again, you guys have seen all of 15-20 minutes using this new controller, but the confidence that I'm feeling that I can now actually be a lot smoother in my flying, and the landings that I'm able to pull off will be a lot better, just with my understanding of the tools that I'm using. But again, if I got this TBS Tango 2 controller right out the box, I wouldn't have understood how nice of a controller it is. So for me, understanding that the value that, you know, the 200, 300, I forget exactly how much I paid for this, but call it $300 that I paid for this controller, now I'm like, oh yeah, it was definitely worth it, because I'm not running into some of the same issues that I've had. So I actually understand the value of what I have, as to where before, if I'm just like, cool, I'm buying a DJI drone for $2,000, it's like, this thing is cool, but it would probably end up getting boring. Or the first crash that I have, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to spend another $1,000 to replace this thing now. But entering the way that I have, with the only drone that I have currently still is this Acro Bee, and that's why I had to buy, you know, extra parts for this already somewhat expensive controller. It feels weird to do all that to fly a $100 little drone, but the fact that I'm doing this with the intentions to just level my stuff up periodically, and with the pace that actually matches my skill. I think that's the big thing that I went into this doing. Like, do I enjoy this? Yes. Can I get better at it? I need better gear to really get better at it. So I have a better controller, which will allow me to practice more in the simulator. And then as I'm currently looking at like a 3-inch Cinewoop, and I'm trying to make the decision, do I buy this or do I build one for myself? I think building one for myself is ultimately the best way for me personally to learn, because I want to know every nook and cranny. Like on this newbie drone, we covered this, but there's a little yellow antenna that was sticking off, and I was like, the first time I crashed, I looked at it, I was like, oh great, I pulled the wire out, and I was just trying to fly, and I was like, it still works, but come to realize that that yellow wire is just supposed to be kind of flapping around because it's an extra antenna. So if I didn't know that and it was a more expensive drone, I would have been a little bit more panicked and all those kind of things. So this, again, for me, for the type of personality that I have, has been an extremely smooth way in. And I'd be happy to suggest like exactly what I've done. And I need to get my button gear to actually make those videos of like the first time I flew, exactly what I purchased. Those types of things are coming, and I just freed up some time in my schedule over the next couple of months to be able to do those types of things. So I'm just very excited. I think this controller is adding to it, but I am very excited for the FPV hobby that I have. And I'm not going to call it a career yet. I think that's a little crazy, but I need another word. It's transitioning from a hobby to possibly a career. But we'll stick with hobby for now. Anything to add to that, Steven? I guess I could have gone.
No, I guess I'm excited. Like I feel like when we started this concept of even a podcast, it was like, well, what is this? And I think you are refining and defining what you're actually doing. I do think this challenge piece is going to be something that I'm continue to push, but I do think it's you learning, helping other people along to just save their time, energy, effort, and money in the stuff that they're doing, and also possibly help them earn money with this hobby. I think that's a unique viewpoint, and I feel like you were looking for a way to add value into the space. And I think that's where you add that value, is just your experience and then finding a way to use your brother's maybe passion for earning money. But I do think it's yours too. It's just like, I know you're frugal with everything that you're doing, even just like buying that first controller to see if you're wanting to get into it, then appreciating the next controller that you bought because you can afford it, but being able to like hit that next step of going, hey, not only do I like this hobby and I'm willing to spend money on it, but how do I actually fund it? So it's not like I have to work more hours at a job, or I have to go get another project, or I have to take up another whatever project to be able to pay for this $1,000 whatever. It's like, how can I make this hobby pay for itself to pay for whatever the $1,000 thing is that I want?
It's not all about like the financial side of it either. Like, I know that's the lens that you're seeing it, because it makes it worth like spending the time that I'm investing, but it's also just like the skill level. Like it's almost as in a video game, when you do something for X amount of hours, like you unlock the next thing. I think that's kind of how I'm viewing the drone world, where it's like, if I put this amount of time to not only like fly, but to do this podcast, to record things, to like think about how I'm going about this, like then with possible money I could get from doing jobs, or if we start to make, content that's consistent and people that are enjoying, or that people enjoy, like that just allows me to unlock the next level of gear. Which the way Steven's saying it is much more realistic. Like, it's just the financial side of it. But I think like mentally, that's kind of how I'm thinking about it. Like, I want to put in, I don't know, like 3 hours a week if possible now with this new controller. And that will continue to be exciting and a challenge for me if I know, like, after I do this long enough, I will get good enough to take on some of those filming opportunities that I've seen. If I can start building a portfolio for the films that I'm able to shoot, or footage I'm able to get, and if I'm able to turn that into then paying gigs, that will allow me to get better, nicer drones. To make that jump into the 3-inch Cinewoop is actually not as expensive as I was thinking, but that also comes with the price of a GoPro, which I think the newer ones are like $800 or something. So that's like twice the cost of the drone. So I'm looking at like the different types of GoPros that I can get. I don't need like the craziest, newest, baddest thing, because I don't know what I'm doing. And if I crash and break that GoPro, then I'll feel horrible. So finding probably a used GoPro on eBay or Facebook Marketplace or something, even if it's not like the highest quality. I mean, even 1080p, even 720p is going to be better than the footage that I currently have. So just those small improvements, ways to learn without, like you're saying, I am frugal, and like just like breaking something would hurt, and breaking a GoPro, like that's not something I feel comfortable like cracking open and trying to fix myself. So not trying to, like I said, buy the latest and greatest thing, because the fear of breaking that is going to cause me not to be like as risky with my flying, and all those things kind of factor into it. And that's why they say learning on the simulator is so great, because if I throw this thing into the side of a bridge, Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's gonna probably keep flying. I don't have to go climb a mountain in the middle of the forest to, like, go grab the thing. Like, there's zero risk doing it this way, and you're just going to continue to get better. So that's how
Yeah, I
I'm
think
approaching all this.
I think it's very interesting too to you're interested in building that Cinewhoop, but you're not interested in like rebuilding a GoPro. So there's like certain skills that you feel like you might need, and then certain things that you already are kind of digging into to be like, this is not what would be enjoyable. Like rebuilding the camera is not enjoyable, but building the drone so that if I crash or something happens,
That's
I can
true.
place this.
That might even be a learned thing, because I see anyone who crashes with their GoPro on top, like they just return it to GoPro, and that might be saying something about that like GoPro coverage plan that they have in place or whatever. But yeah, cracking open like a tiny little GoPro, I don't know enough about like circuitry or anything like that. But when it comes to a drone, like they seem like this fantastic like magical thing, but actually looking at like how to build one, it's not overly complicated. Like the actual circuitry and all that kind of stuff is not like, I don't know, it's probably one of the easier things to get into as far as like learning how to solder and make sure software is going to work and the hardware works and all that kind of stuff.
It would be interesting also if you had like just like I'm suggesting you to go look for drone pilots to give you a list of skills to do something in here, like just flying that bridge. Like that flying that bridge was very eye-opening, just to go like, oh, can you hold altitude and speed? This is a skill that you're probably going to need in the real world. Like flying that bridge gives you a good feel of like, am I going too high? Am I going too low? Because they have both a floor and a ceiling in that. Going around this thing, I think, is like
no, that's what you were saying earlier, like an actual calculated way to test
just measure,
two
because
different
like
things.
whatever gets measured gets improved. Like if you don't have did I improve, I don't even know how to check my improvement. What should I be doing? Because I think that was a big thing of like when you were flying around, is like, what should you be doing? You're just flying all over the place. Like landing was the first thing we thought, because it's like if you take off, you have to land. That's just common sense to me. But then find out like, oh, landing is a high level skill. Like before you do any of that stuff, you just need to be able to crash without breaking it, essentially. Like throw it in the ground without max altitude and speed coming into the ground, and you should be okay, because the thing is built to crash. There is no like landing in that first person drone. So like taking off, going in a circle, going there and back, that kind of stuff, which I don't know if is that the lingo for drones, I have no idea, but just coming up with your own, not lingo, but your own, here are some benchmarks that I found extremely helpful. This is what I suggest to you if you're just getting started off and not know anywhere to start. Here's some simple things that you can just track your own progress on. Because this game doesn't really give you like a skill. It's more just like time trial stuff, because it's trying to get you to race. So there's no like, have you gotten better at flying? Have you gotten better at control? Have you gotten better at like, I think the basic skills that you're going to need.
Right. They have that like little tutoring thing to teach you how to fly, so that's good. And that's probably, I could find like a couple of missions on there.
Yeah, but if you did that again with this controller, there's no like, this is how much you improved. This is how much.
There's
it's
a
just
star
like,
rating.
Yeah, but it's just time based. I could be wrong. If you want to go back in there and see, does it actually give you like other data points other than just time?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Probably not.
Because I think the star system is based off of how fast you did it, and maybe that's a way to measure improvement, I guess.
It is one, but it's not like the end all be all. Wow, I'm not used to being able to like catch myself that low. That feels cool. We can look at it. But I see what you're saying. And I started following them on Instagram, and I saw that you can actually like place things inside of the world. So that would give us some ability. Like if I did like a slalom course, then I set up like the exact distance or whatever else. Like that would allow me to be like, oh yeah, I can slalom through this easier with this controller or whatever. Train.
Wait, can you build your own map then?
Yeah. So yeah.
Are you doing that with 3D modeling software like GIMP?
No. Did you ever play like the old skate games or like Tony Hawk where you could like build your
Oh
own
yeah,
park?
where they had the
Yeah,
assets
there's
in there
just like
already. And
set
okay.
assets that you move around. Oh, my cat's awake. So yeah, just like 2 stars, and doesn't exactly tell you like what qualifies for each one. I think they're all
Yeah,
a
so
little bit different, but
do that one with the 2 stars and see like did you get a better star rating?
oh, I'm scared. We'll see how this goes. All right, we can do this and then kind of close. Oh, I want to talk about the tricks. So I talked about it last week, but like I said, I'm just way more hyped up on it this week with this new controller. So I made a little graphic that'll show off how I'm planning on doing the trick series. Oh, this is this? What's going on here? This drone flies differently because it's like the little like practice thing. Does it hover? No. Okay. Oh, it's just like really muted. You really gotta gun it. Okay. Here we go.
This looks a lot worse.
Well, the drone itself just flies a lot differently than what I've been practicing on. But yeah, the little control, like definitely again that like 0 to 50% is what was making these so much more difficult.
Yeah, because even when you were trying to do those more complicated, like when they had you going up elevation, down elevation, turning left, around,
Yeah, it was
those,
like all over the place.
It didn't look like you had much control. Like certain glimpses, it felt like you had control, but it seemed like you had to full throttle to get that control. Now it feels like you have a lot more just control at different speeds.
Yeah, that's what I was saying even about like catching myself. I can actually just go slow. I don't need to be just like flying through these things.
Yeah, because I remember my suggestion to you was like, go
gun
fast
it, and then
get
yeah,
into it.
which is the same thing you would do in like a car or whatever, right? Like going super fast.
Like hit the apex.
Right. Yeah, this feels so much better. Again, like I'm gonna have to retrain my thumbs. I think that's why I'm a little shaky now, because again, I'm not used to having to like push this hard or this far. Like it's just a different range that I'm having to move in. But as I get a little confidence here, this is gonna be so much more fun.
Yeah, I'm interested to see your first flight with the newbie drone.
Yeah, that will happen for sure.
How long do you think it'll take you to build that
Florida.
controller?
Alright, let's try that again a little faster now. How long to what? Build the controller?
Yeah, because don't you have to put that thing on the back?
Oh, yeah, so I'll try to make a video about that. I don't think it takes very long. Oh, it actually feels like there's a soft spot here. I wonder if... Oh, that's probably a screw. I don't think they would have cut the hole already. If they cut the hole already, that is amazing. It almost feels... This is too big to be a screw hole. Maybe it's not. So I have to actually take this thing apart and then mess with the motherboard a little bit. There's a ribbon cable here that's going to get plugged in to the motherboard, and then there's... if I didn't lose it already. Sorry. It's on the desk somewhere. But there's a little connector that will get plugged in. Gosh, I hope I didn't lose that already. Oh, here it is. So this little connector here, you probably can't even see it with this camera, but it basically has pins that plug into the back of this thing. So it shouldn't take very long. I'm guessing like 10 minutes, but I want to do that again with a little bit better of an overhead camera, or maybe just setting it up on the desk and having it face me. All right, now I'm being challenged. So let's try and do this a little bit quicker now.
Yeah, so you had 2 stars and you tried it with this controller, you got a half a star.
Yeah, so not good. But again, just this drone flies a little bit differently than what I'm used to. So, there we go. You gotta ask me questions. I can't fly and just come up with stuff off the fly.
Well, I was gonna ask you, did you pay attention to what that single star rating was for?
I
Did it just say
didn't.
time?
I just got embarrassed and switched the screen. So I will try to see what it's calculating that single star off of, because it's not like I missed any gates, so it's got to be off of just time alone. It says 3 out of 14. Oh, it reset. Okay. If I get lower than 2 stars this time, I'm going to blame it on the fact that I haven't flown in like 2 weeks. I'll always find an excuse. You don't have to worry about that.
Justification, baby. Oh, I'll talk to you off this podcast, but I'll bring it up now as you're doing this. But the
3 stars.
concept of need versus want, and then like justifying, I guess, is the third category. I was in a group of people that were having a conversation, and then they were just talking about making a purchase that I thought was unwise, but I didn't know this group of people well enough to say anything. But it just gave me that thought of like, oh, there's like when you're young and you're broke and you have no money, there are needs that you can't afford, and that's when life is like painful. But then it comes a time where you like make a little bit more money and you can cover your needs, and then you can go after some of your wants. And I think that transition is something that some people miss, and they just mistake needs and wants for the same thing. And I think they carry that on until they get older, and then like they will just justify any purchase on anything. And I think that's where it gets super dangerous, because that's when you see people like get into major debt. And then I was like, I wanted to say something, but I didn't say anything to that person. But I said something else to somebody else when I was just like, hey, what about this? And they're like, oh, I don't know if they ever thought about that. I'll have to ask him. And I was like, okay, that's all I have to do. I'm done. I'm moving on. But this seems like a real bad idea. And I think it just wasn't thought through. And I think they missed that like lesson. And I think this is why I want you to get your message out about even this hobby. Is like, you're not buying the, like what I was going to do, buy the DJI Maverick Pro 2, whatever it was, that was like the most top dollar thing. And then I was going to buy the FPV DJI, because we're in that space where we can afford that. It's just not wise to do that, because it would have been something I bought and then essentially gave to you. And I don't even think you would have used it, because that's not what you wanted. And it was like, that is just, if you can afford it, go for it. But if it's not a thing that you're going to use, I just see it as a wasted, frivolous purchase. Why do that? That's why I bought that extremely cheap one, because I was going to buy the Mini 2, and I was just like, I'll buy this one because it's not that much, and then if I don't want it, I'll give it to Dana. But I was like, I don't even want to spend that much, because that's not who I am. I want to, what is the cheapest thing that I could do to even just test run this to see, and then imagine me having a more expensive one to be able to figure if this is something I want to carry on with. And then
I think that's the perfect,
oh, I want a kayak, I want a better car, I want other things than spending this much on a hobby that I'm not going to use. Like, I would have flown it a couple of times and then been done with it, and it was just sat forever.
Right. I think that's the perfect, like, A/B test, though. Like, we're very similar in what we like and dislike in our hobbies and stuff. So we both kind of entered the drone space in FPV and then, like, the GPS drones. But I have really taken a liking to it and seeing, like, opportunities, and this is something I want to spend the time and money on to get better at, and you were just like, eh. So it's the perfect like example. It's not like it's a crazy thought to spend $2,000 on a drone, but it's like it's a just not wise thing to do if you're gonna spend a week with it. So
a drone is not a thing that anybody needs unless like this is gonna for sure be your job and you love it. But it could be a want. But even in your want, it's like, what level of want is this? Because I wanted the DJI FPV because I was like, I might like FPV, I might want that. And then I was like, well, let me get the cheapest thing to even see if like that's what I want. And then found out very quickly, oh, that's not what I want. I don't want this at all. My idea of what this was is different than the reality of what it was. And then just going like, in order to make drone fun for me, I would need like a drone group. And then to go into like a drone group is going to take more time, energy, effort to meet those people. It's just like, I've gone down that road enough with different hobbies that it's like, I don't want to spend that much time, energy, and effort into that. Now, if you live closer, then I'd be like, we can do this. We can meet new people. It's something that we can do as brothers. But me singular to do, because I know my wife is not gonna do that. Nobody that I know is even semi into that. So I was like, instead of putting the money into this thing where it's just gonna sit and I'm not gonna do anything with it, now I'm putting that money into like hunting, because I have friends down here that have been asking me to hunt for forever, and I was like, I'm looking for a new hobby. I'm not gonna do droning, so hunting is something that I'm gonna now pick up. And then going turkey hunting for the first time, I was just like, oh, okay, I really do enjoy this. Hunting to me was always like sit in a tree, wait for an animal. I don't enjoy that, but turkey hunting is like walking around, doing some stuff. So I was like, I like walking in even the way that my friend sold it to me. He was like, do you like hiking? I was like, yeah. He's like, do you like guns? I was like, yeah. Then you love turkey hunting. I was like, let's do it. Sold.
Yeah.
Assumption of like, do you like video games? Yeah. Do you like the ability to like take cinematic shots? And I would be like, kind of. Then when you put those two things together, you're like, no, I don't like either of these things. I'm not that big into video games anymore, and I really don't have any filming desire for anything.
Right. And it, like what you said, like the community aspect of it, that is something that I'm like super interested in, especially learning that here in Atlanta, like how thriving the drone community is. Like they just had a major event here, and one of the top guys, a couple of the top guys, like live in my area and film places that I like can see from my house. So it's a cool feeling to know like they're pretty much in our backyard. And once I do get the cinema, I'm gonna be a little bit more adventurous and try to meet up with them and do all that kind of stuff. So I am excited about that aspect of it, like the community side of things. And yeah, the filming, like the cinematic part of it is not like something I'm super stoked on, but I love helping people. And if those shots are going to be able to be used in, I mean, even if it just goes on people's Instagram to get them likes or whatever, like that's enough of a reason for me to like try something that I'm having fun with.
Yeah, I guess that's the difference between you. Like, I like to help people, but not at something that I don't like to do. So it's like, if filming would help another person, I'd be like, I don't care enough about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I built my graphic design career off of. We just had this conversation. Seems like, why don't you just get like a graphics design job or like focus on that more? I'm like, I don't actually like doing graphics. Like, I'm just realizing this. I've just done it because that's what people needed help with. And I learned how to do it and I got good at it. But it's not like I do it out of enjoyment. But this I'm doing out of enjoyment. So if I can help people, like, that's
bonus.
Yeah, you're just getting older and knowing what you're actually enjoying or what you're doing because people enjoy that you're doing it.
Yeah, I guess being profitable now at this point, I don't want to say it's coming secondary, but it's a tie with a lot of other stuff. Whereas before, when like you're younger, like profitability is everything.
Right.
Like,
you can only pick like one or two things to be involved in.
This is true
for financial reasons, at least the people we grew up around. But now that we're able to have multiple hobbies and be into multiple things, it's like, I don't feel like the squeeze that I have to get every penny out of this thing that I need to. But it would be nice that it would at least pay for itself, or I don't feel like super guilty, like buying a $2,000 drone in future, because I've actually made some money with it, or enough money to actually buy that thing straight out. So
yeah, justifying stuff. I think this is another like.
Right.
After this podcast is over, talk about that piece of it. But the justification is something that we do that's slightly different than how other people justify. Like, we'll justify, me especially, I'll justify off of finance. Like, does this financially make sense? Because this possibly make money. Not like, oh, I made $1 with this, I'm gonna spend $1,000. Like, do I have the potential to turn this into a side hustle that could possibly turn into a business? Then I will start pursuing it to a point and make sure I'm tracking all these dollars. I know that's not for everybody. That's just me personally how I do things. But I think you have a nice balance to be able to go like, I enjoy it. I'm okay with spending the money up front and get things to make this more enjoyable, where I'll be like, I'll struggle until I can actually make this make some money and then go to the next level. I think this might go too deep, but this mouse, where it's like you bought it because you're doing a lot of graphical stuff, and I was just like, I'll use the cheap mouse, I don't care. But then like you gave me this one, I was like, oh, okay, this, I like your way of doing things. It's like, we can buy $100 mouse, why not just buy one? Because I couldn't see the usability of it. And now even just like that controller, the difference between the old one and the new one is like,
you
this is a
see
step
the
up. This is
value.
why.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, almost the exact same thing with the mouse, right? Like you use a cheap, crappy one, you're like, it gets the job done. But then you use something that's nice, you're like, oh, I understand
This is
now.
why. Here's the aha moment of why you buy more expensive.
Right. All right, so I know that lingered on there at the end. I'm honestly just having a ton of fun with this controller, so I'm hyped to get this thing torn apart and put together with a new module in here so I can actually fly with a real drone and not just in the simulator. But it just feels so much better. Again, with that confidence word, like this just feels like I have more confidence flying with this thing, and that it's...
Go to a single so they can see all this and then wrap me up.
It's less of a toy and it feels more like a professional tool that's very nerdy, just like the 3D printer that I have. So I'm very excited about this. But if you guys liked this video, let me do that again. If you guys like this video and want to learn more about drones, you can check out some more content that we'll have for you here, or if you want to see the type of gear that I have and possibly get a free little freebie from me, you can check the description down below. But until the next show, I'll see you guys around. Thank you so much.